Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources, stacks of them sometimes, and pull out the really compelling, maybe even mind-bending nuggets of knowledge. And today we're definitely venturing into territory that might just fundamentally shift how you think about, well, pretty much everything.
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, our sources are excerpts from a really fascinating paper. It's titled The Architecture of Awareness: Cognitive Unfolding Principles.
Okay.
And the mission for this deep dive is to unpack a truly radical idea. Basically, that reality isn't just something you observe passively,
Right.
but something you actively co-create. And here's the kicker. This co-creation isn't random. It's guided, supposedly, by universal principles embedded deep within your own consciousness.
Yeah, that's the core of it. And what's fascinating, like you said, is how the source reinterprets reality. It's not this fixed external thing out there. It's presented more like the paper uses the term dream.
Yeah.
A deeply subjective, malleable experiential feel.
Dream.
Yeah, like an interactive medium. Understanding unfolds through it. And the key is its non-external origin, and its potential to keep evolving.
Okay, let's unpack that. This isn't just a metaphor for these authors, is it? They're saying there are actual, maybe even measurable mechanisms at play here inside our heads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just poetic language. They're pointing to specific principles.
Right. So the core argument then is that how we come to understand things, or sort of cognitive and experiential revelation, it's guided
Guided.
by these universal principles. And they name two specifically: the golden ratio, phi,
Phi, yeah. Approximately 1.618.
and something they call the law of halves.
Right. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, these principles aren't just describing patterns we see. They're seen as prescriptive.
Prescriptive, meaning
Meaning they sort of dictate the optimal way to organize your thoughts, your perceptions, even how you integrate emotions.
wow, okay.
So the focus really shifts. It moves away from assuming some external orchestrator, like pulling the strings, and towards the inherent self-organizing intelligence that's supposedly embedded within consciousness itself.
Okay, so this really doubles down on the idea that your perceived reality isn't just something you're watching.
Not at all.
You're actively participating in it, shaping it. It's not just happening to you, it's happening through you.
Precisely. And, modern cognitive science actually gives us a framework for this. It increasingly reveals the brain-mind as a profoundly self-organizing system.
Right.
It can generate really complex states, complex behaviors, without needing explicit sort of moment-by-moment instructions from the outside.
Yeah, that's where it really starts to click into place for me. I mean, think about neural networks, how complex they are.
It's your intricacy, yeah.
Or just how thoughts and perceptions seem to spontaneously emerge. The brain shows this incredible capacity for order to just arise from local interactions. And you've got concepts like neuroplasticity, right? Where the brain literally rewires itself based on experience.
Exactly. That underlines this dynamic, self-configuring nature.
And the paper suggests maybe this isn't just random adaptation. Maybe these new connections form in really efficient ways. Perhaps even, following patterns like phi, allowing for optimal information packing.
That's a fascinating layer to it.
Yeah.
And then there are emergent properties.
Like consciousness itself.
Exactly. Complex phenomena arising from simpler interactions. This fits perfectly with the dream paradigm they propose.
How so?
Well, if reality is this experientially rich field, this dream, then the brain-mind is the primary interface, the generator. It constructs and interprets these complex realities from within.
Okay.
And you could even argue, perhaps, that the binary firing of neurons on-off could be seen as a sort of fundamental law of halves at the physiological level.
Leading to complex thought through synthesis. Interesting.
Yeah, potentially.
So the dream reveals itself through this self-organizing capacity in your mind.
Right.
Not dictated by some external programmer. It's a revelation from within.
And crucially, within this self-organizing system, consciousness isn't just passively receiving sensory data, like a camera just recording. It's an active processor. And in a really profound sense, a co-creator of your experiential reality.
So my perception isn't just a mirror.
Not a direct mirror, no. It's highly filtered, highly interpreted. It's a constructed experience.
Okay, that's a big concept. Because, reality feels so solid, so external for most of us, right?
Absolutely, it does.
So can you elaborate a bit more? How exactly does consciousness act as a co-creator and not just an observer? How does my mind, through things like attention, intention, interpretation, how does it actively shape what I perceive? and the meaning I give to just raw data.
Well, what's intriguing here is the idea that your consciousness has these inherent drives, a drive for meaning, a drive for coherence.
Yeah.
And because of these drives, it implicitly seeks out and uses these universal ordering principles we mentioned.
The law of halves.
Exactly. The paper suggests it's constantly interpreting, structuring the raw data it receives. Effectively, it's building the reality you experience moment by moment.
Wow.
And a key tool for this is pattern recognition. It's a fundamental ability.
Right. We're always doing it. Seeing faces in clouds, trends in data.
Exactly. Recognizing faces, discerning trends.
Yeah.
Your mind is just exquisitely tuned to identify patterns, create them, respond to them. And it's not just sensory stuff. It extends to abstract concepts, emotional dynamics, even the stories we tell ourselves. Narrative structures.
Yeah, it's definitely a core mechanism. It's how we make sense of all the complexity out there, how we try to predict what's coming next.
Precisely.
And so within this framework, the golden ratio and the law of halves aren't just some arbitrary human inventions.
No, the argument is they represent fundamental, deep-seated patterns your mind naturally resonates with.
And implicitly tries to replicate.
That's the idea, because they show up so often in nature, from the tiny scale to the huge macro scale.
Right, shells, galaxies.
Shells, sunflowers, galaxies, yeah. It suggests they aren't just about aesthetics, what looks nice. They might be intrinsic principles of efficient, harmonious organization.
Okay.
So your mind, trying to find coherence and meaning, it naturally gravitates towards these patterns.
Yeah.
It uses them like implicit templates.
Templates for what?
For organizing information, for resolving paradoxes, for constructing a stable but still evolving understanding of its dream reality.
Okay, let's get into the golden ratio then, phi. Which is, what, about 1.618?
Approximately, yeah. It's this mathematical constant fascinated people for ages, because it just appears everywhere.
You mentioned nature nautilus shells, sunflower seeds.
Tree branching patterns, even proportions of galaxies, supposedly.
Yeah.
And humans have used it consciously too, right?
Oh yeah, Greek architecture.
Ancient Greek architecture, Renaissance art, classical music. It's often linked with, aesthetic perfection, balance.
Right.
But the proposition here goes deeper. It's suggesting phi isn't just a pattern found in nature, but maybe an underlying principle for optimal system development itself.
A blueprint.
A fundamental blueprint, yeah, for how different elements within any system can relate to each other to get maximum cohesion, resilience, and importantly, potential for growth.
Okay, so what does this mean for your mind then? How does phi act as a blueprint for conceptual cohesion in my mental structures?
Well, imagine your understanding of something complex, let's say like a branching tree of interconnected concepts.
Okay.
New information comes in. Instead of just being, haphazardly tacked on, it integrates with what you already know in a kind of phi proportional way. So the relationship between a big, broad concept and its main subconcept,
Right.
and then that subconcept in its own smaller divisions, they might follow the golden ratio.
Huh. So that would create really robust mental models, ones that can expand easily.
That's the idea.
FL.
Robust, expandable, preventing information overload, making sure learning builds on itself in a stable, sort of organic way.
That's actually a really practical takeaway there. Maybe my note-taking should mimic phi.
Huh, perhaps. And it also sheds light on how we learn, maybe even on things like flow state.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, that feeling of being totally immersed, energized, focused, enjoyment,
Yeah.
that might be easier to achieve when information is presented or when you're processing it in ways that implicitly align with phi.
Because the mind finds it more harmonious.
Potentially. Your mind, being maybe naturally attuned to these harmonious proportions, finds it easier to integrate stuff structured according to phi. Less cognitive friction, more engagement.
So learning environments or even just cognitive strategies that subtly use phi could unlock more potential.
It's a suggestive idea, isn't it? And think about those aha moments, too.
Yeah.
Creative insights.
Yeah, when everything just clicks.
Exactly. Those often involve rapidly restructuring bits of information that seemed separate into a more coherent, often more harmonically balanced pattern. And that restructuring, the paper suggests, could implicitly follow phi.
So when I'm stuck on a complex problem,
Your mind might be struggling to find that phi proportional relationship between all the pieces.
and the breakthrough happens when a new perspective lets them fall into that harmonious phi-based arrangement.
And it suddenly feels right or elegant, like your brain literally found the most elegant mathematical solution to the puzzle.
Wow.
And what's also really fascinating is phi's potential role in countering cognitive stagnation. getting stuck in ruts.
How does that work?
Well, if your mental structures are organized according to phi, they're inherently designed for continuous proportional expansion. Think of the golden spiral.
It keeps going outwards, but stays the same shape.
Exactly. It never closes in on itself. It expands while maintaining its fundamental proportions. So a phi-based structure might prevent your mind from just falling into repetitive loops or dead ends.
So each new understanding builds on the last, but adds a new level.
A new level of complexity and insight, a fresh perspective, not just repetition. It gives you a natural exit strategy from those intellectual cul-de-sacs.
Okay, so phi provides this blueprint for harmonious expansion, but you also mentioned the law of halves. What's that about?
Right. So besides phi, the mind seems to have this other really profound inherent tendency to categorize and perceive reality in terms of dichotomies, opposites.
Like black, white, good, bad.
Light, dark, good, bad, true, false, subjective, objective order, chaos, self-other, all those pairs.
Well, and the paper says this isn't just like a cultural thing or how language works.
They argue it seems to be a deeper cognitive mechanism, a way to make sense of complexity. You instinctively frame things in this binary way first.
Why? What's the advantage?
It simplifies things. It lets you process vast amounts of information by providing a basic structure. It's like the initial cut, the first division that sets the stage for deeper understanding.
Okay, so the law of halves isn't just about picking one side, like good over bad.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's about the dynamic process, the iterative process of understanding both poles.
Right.
And then, crucially, transcending them through synthesis.
Yeah.
Moving beyond simple black and white thinking.
That sounds a bit like dialectics. Thesis, antithesis, synthesis.
Exactly. It strongly resonates with philosophical traditions like Hegelian dialectics. You have an idea, thesis, it meets its opposite, antithesis. And through that tension, a new higher order understanding emerges, synthesis, that incorporates elements of both.
Okay.
Or think about Jungian psychology individuation involving integrating conscious and unconscious aspects.
Integrating opposites within the self.
Right. This whole dialectical process seems to be a core mechanism for cognitive growth, for psychological growth.
Yeah.
It pushes your mind towards more holistic perspectives.
And this is also how we learn adaptively, right? When you encounter a challenge or information that contradicts what you thought.
It forces your mind into disequilibrium.
Yeah, you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you're compelled to kind of divide your current understanding, look at the conflicts,
Explore the components.
and then reformulate a more comprehensive view that accounts for the new information, like overcoming personal biases, maybe?
That's a great example. You identify the conflicting viewpoint, maybe within yourself or from outside data. You explore the tension.
Right.
And then you synthesize a more nuanced, more informed perspective.
So this dynamic process division, exploration, reformulation, it's fundamentally pushing the boundaries of what you know.
Exactly. And the source says, within this whole dream paradigm, true revelation, true insight often comes precisely from this integration, taking previously separate or opposing ideas and bringing them together.
Leading to a new, higher order understanding that just encompasses more of reality.
It's that click moment again. Disparate pieces fitting together, a long-standing paradox suddenly resolving into a profound insight.
Or even just learning a new skill. You try one way, thesis, maybe it doesn't work well, antithesis.
You hit a wall.
And by analyzing why it failed and refining your method, you develop a better, more complete skill set, synthesis.
Perfect example. And this whole process allows for the continuous unveiling of deeper truths. It prevents you from getting stuck in fixed, stagnant interpretations of reality.
So by constantly engaging with these dichotomies, these opposites, and seeking synthesis,
your mind is prevented from settling into rigid dogmas or limited perspectives. It stays fluid, adaptive, open.
Open to the ongoing revelation inherent in this dream universe.
Exactly. The law of Halves ensures consciousness is always in a state of dynamic evolution, actively participating in the self-discovery of reality through its own integrative powers.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. What does this all mean for you, the listener? This deep dive seems to suggest that revelation, insight, understanding within this idea of an experiential dream reality, it's not something imposed from the outside.
Right, not external.
It's an emergent phenomenon. It unfolds from within the very architecture of your consciousness.
And crucially, this unfolding isn't random or chaotic.
Yeah.
It appears to be intrinsically guided by these universal principles of order we've been discussing.
The harmonious proportions of the golden ratio, phi.
And the dynamic synthesis process of the law of halves. These principles represent the inherent intelligence embedded in your cognitive landscape.
orchestrating how your mental structures evolve towards greater coherence, complexity, understanding.
That's the framework proposed.
And the really profound implication here, it seems, is empowerment.
Empowerment of the individual, yeah.
Because you, through your own cognitive processes, your innate ability for pattern recognition, you're not just a passive recipient.
Definitely not.
You're an active participant in the revelation of your own dream reality. Every time you learn something new, resolve a conflict, have a creative insight,
Every moment of deep understanding.
it contributes to this ongoing internal unveiling process.
And this perspective really shifts the locus of revelation, where insights come from,
Away from some external authority.
to the inner workings of your own mind, making each individual potentially a conduit for universal truth.
So, in this light, the whole evolution of the universe and its creatures, maybe that's synonymous with the continuous patterned unfolding of consciousness itself.
That's a mind-bending connection, isn't it?
And that perceived quarantine of our existence, the idea that we're somehow limited, maybe that's not a limitation. Maybe it's the very condition needed for this internal self-organized revelation to happen.
That's an interesting thought, because it's within this contained, experientially rich environment, our lives, our consciousness, that these principles, phi and the law of halves, can be most effectively brought to bear.
Guiding consciousness through its own dichotomy.
Towards harmonious expansion, towards synthesis.
So the journey of awareness for you is just this endless process of discovery, a grand tapestry woven by your own mind,
Constantly revealing new dimensions.
forever revealing new dimensions of truth and meaning through its own inherent principles of order. So maybe next time you're grappling with something complex or trying to integrate something new, ask yourself, am I allowing these patterns to emerge? Am I seeing both sides? Am I looking for that synthesis?
Food for thought.
Definitely. Keep diving deep.